Our first look at one of the upcoming Star Trek animated series, Lower Decks, has arrived, and oh boy, does it look good. Hello everyone, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. The Star Trek Universe panel at San Diego Comic-Con gave us more information about the expansion of the Star Trek franchise as a whole, including our first look at the much anticipated animated series, Star Trek Lower Decks. Let's warp in and see what we've learned. Star Trek Lower Decks is an animated comedy series created by Mike McMahon, known for his work on Rick and Morty. The series will follow a team of 4 ensigns on a Californian-class support ship, the USS Cerritos. Yeah, interesting name. Now this is a brand new, never-before-seen class of ship in the Star Trek universe. Personally, I can't wait to see what it looks like, and if it draws any inspiration from designs of the past. Oh, and it is described as one of the least important Starfleet ships, being regulated to support work. A little detail that Sharon and Mike McMahon mentioned is that the starship's holodecks are always breaking down, which is kind of funny. I'll bet we'll see the ensigns attempting to get this working, while also having some of the holodeck fun episodes. Kind of gives a good idea of where the show might be going. From what we know, the show is set in the year of 2380, after the events of the feature film Star Trek Nemesis. This is great because we're getting an additional look at the post-Nemesis Star Trek galaxy, alongside that of Star Trek Picard, which is obviously set near enough 20 years after Nemesis, but you know, it's still quite cool to be seeing after Nemesis, because the Voyager's home, Nemesis has occurred, there's quite a lot of things to go around. Let's talk about our new characters for the show, the 4 ensigns of the USS Cerritos. Ensign Beckett Marina, played by Tawny Newsome, is a no-nonsense ensign who gets the job done. She's good at what she does, but doesn't care at the end of the day. Something interesting to point out, one of her promo images has her holding a Klingon bat'leth. Maybe a nod to Mr. Worf? It's interesting as it's said in that, in the Jean-Luc Picard First Duty exhibit, bat'leth were rarely found in possessions of non-Klingons, so hopefully she has an interesting reason for why she might have one. Ensign Brad Boimler, played by Jack Quaid, is described as a no-nonsense ensign who does everything by the book. He's great at all the technical sci-fi stuff, but completely bound to rules, but sadly does not know how to follow his gut. It's mentioned that if he wants to be a captain someday, he's going to have to learn how to improvise more often. Actor Jack Quaid, who plays Ensign Boimler, described him as being able to nail the written portion of a driving test, but being a total disaster when getting in the car. And you can sort of see where this is going. Now these 2 characters I've just mentioned are described as opposites to each other, so maybe we'll see them clash at some point and go head to head during the earlier episodes of the series, but really grow to trust each other as the series goes on, showing that Star Trek family theme that is talked about quite a lot throughout multiple series. Now the other 2 ensigns of the cast are as follows. Ensign Tendi, played by Noah Wells, is described as a huge Starfleet fan who is excited to be serving on a starship. When we first see her in the pilot of the series, it's actually her first day on board, so we the viewers get a unique POV with her character. While on board, she is working in the ship's medical bay, where no alien illness or sickness freaks her out. Now we here at Trek Central hope that she'll be an Orion, which will add some interesting depth to her character, that she likes Starfleet, but comes from a species which has had its conflicts with Starfleet before. And finally, Ensign Rutherford, played by Eugene Condero, is an engineer who's amazing at all the Star Trek engineering stuff. He's described as an expert in Starfleet engineering like Geordi LaForge, but unlike LaForge, he never solves a problem by the end of the episode. He's seen with a cyborg-like head attachment, where it's said to be an early adopter of such tech, and has had problems with it to begin with, so maybe we're going to see some complicated ideas going around there. That's our 4 main characters so far, certainly an interesting bunch. Now joining them on board the ship are the following senior staff. Captain Freeman, played by Dawn Lewis, is described as your typical Starfleet captain. Nothing much is said from her from a panel, but hopefully she becomes a good captain in her own right. First Officer Commander Jack Ransom, played by Jerry O'Connell. This guy kinda looks like a smug William Riker to be honest, but he's described as Riker, but on speed. Yeah, bit mental to be honest. Additionally, there is Lieutenant Shax, played by Fred Tatasciore. He's described as being a big, muscly Bajoran who's always wanting to eject the warp core of a ship. Bit concerning. And finally, Dr. Tanar, who is played by Gillian Vigman. She's the chief medical officer on board the ship, described as being bad at talking with others, but super good at solving problems. Fun fact here, her species is Cation, as a throwback to the original Star Trek animated series. What I find funny is the characters being compared to Dr. Catherine Pulaski of The Next Generation, in the idea of where she's basically a bit of an arse to the rest of the crew, but it's going to be interesting to see. So there we go, that is all the characters of Star Trek Lower Decks so far. An interesting bunch of people is what I would say, and I'm excited to see how they play out on screen. Hopefully we'll get our first official look at Lower Decks at the upcoming Star Trek Las Vegas event later this month. Some further details about the show, it'll have 10 episodes in the first season, each at around 30 minutes in length. It's set to premiere on CBS All Access in 2020. Regarding international viewers like myself and you guys, We can presume it will be distributed on Amazon Prime and the Space Channel for those of you in Canada, but at the moment we have no confirmed details on this, but of course, we'll update you later once we learn more. So, what do we think of Lower Decks, you ask? Well, personally, I'm interested in the concept of the series. Star Trek animation has not been properly seen in a full series since the original Star Trek animated series, so therefore Lower Decks is returning to this frontier of storytelling. It remains to be seen how the comedy of the series stacks up, and if it will be entertaining to Star Trek fans and potential new fans as well. Now, this series appears to be more of a mature-based series. Even though that Star Trek franchise boss Alex Kurtzman originally wanted it to be a kids show, showrunner of Lower Decks Mike McGann basically changed his mind with the idea of Rick and Morty in Star Trek. An interesting idea to say the least. Now, Kurtzman obviously did get his wish with another Star Trek animated series taking place in the future. That's partnered with Nickelodeon, and obviously we'll see more of that at some point, but it is a long way off, so don't expect anything anytime soon on that. If you're worried about the writing and production of this series, I would say we're in safe hands. Showrunner and creator of Lower Decks, Mike McMahon, is a lifelong Star Trek fan, stating he loved watching The Next Generation and even wanting a Season 8 so much that he used to tweet joke lines from his made-up season on Twitter. I believe he even wrote a book about it at one point. Now, the comedy of this series is obviously going to be a central point. We're reminded at the panel at Comic-Con that even though the show is a comedy, it's not going to be hitting or punching down the Star Trek franchise or lore for the sake of jokes, which is good and reassuring to hear. Lower Decks is described as bridging the gap between comedy, adult, and Trek. An interesting concept, and we'll have to see how it works in the long run. For the moment, Star Trek Lower Decks is spearheading the animation side of the Trek universe. It does remain to be seen how good the show is, but we here at Trek Central are ready and waiting to review it and tell you what we think. That's all we have on the show today, but if you want to keep up to date with the latest Star Trek Lower Decks news, then make sure to subscribe to Trek Central for your news, lore, and more. I've been Captain Jack, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.